City Council meeting. The date is December 6th, and the time is 7:02 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mayor Ronnie Felder.
Here.
Chairperson Douglas Lawson.
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Charlotte McCoy. Councilperson Kashama Miller Anderson.
Present.
Councilperson Shirley Lanier. Councilperson Glenn Spiritus.
Here.
City Manager Jonathan Evans. Acting City Clerk Deborah McCullen is present. City Attorney Don Nguyen.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum. You may proceed.
Thank you. If we can have a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Ms. Miller Anderson.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Additions, deletions, substitutions.
Chair,
Dr. Spiritus, you recognize.
point of order. I'd like to ask some questions to the city attorney, if that's possible.
Go ahead, Dr. Spiritus.
Ms. Nguyen, under the Sunshine Law that this body is governed under, are we required to give reasonable notice to the public before a meeting? Okay. Is reasonable notice mean 24 hours, 10 hours, 3 hours?
A reasonable notice depends on the circumstances. And in an emergency, 24 hours.
24 hours was given to the city council or to the community?
Understanding is that the notice was signed around 6:32 p.m., and the clerk can correct me if I'm wrong, for a 7 o'clock meeting. That's how I calculated the 24 hours. I don't know when the public received notice or when the city council received notice.
Chair?
You recognize.
Okay, so to our clerk, can you tell me how this was noticed to the community?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
You recognize.
Dr. Spiritus, the notice was provided to our city council members, and it was also provided to our IT department and various departments for posting. So it was sent out prior to 24 hours on yesterday evening.
Ms. Nguyen, I didn't see, and Ms. Hall, both of you, I mean, these are important matters, and we did pass a motion at the last utility meeting to hold an OIG meeting to discuss the issue, the OIG's report. The purpose of that motion was to make sure that the entire community had the opportunity to be present, have ample opportunity to be here. It's a very, very important item to the entire community. We've seen this during public comment at all our meetings. I did not see this posted on the city's website. I did not see it on the marquee in front of City Hall. I don't think the community knew about this unless they had some supernatural ability to get it in their head what everybody was thinking in City Hall. I didn't see it in the newspapers. This is a very important meeting. I don't believe we met the requirements of the Sunshine Law when we set up this meeting. I don't believe the community had ample notice to be present. Having a meeting on Friday evening at 7 p.m. during holiday time is not what I call being transparent and giving the community an opportunity to participate in the discussion and hear the discussion of the city council.
Thank you for your comments, Dr. Spiritus. Did you have any additions, deletions, or substitutions? Any other board members have additions, deletions, substitutions? Disclosures? Motion to adopt? Motion been made and properly seconded. Only thing I do want to discuss is with the OIG. I agree that I want to talk about the scheduling with the OIG. So before we go into adopting the motion, Dr. Spiritus asked at the last utility district meeting that a motion be made to schedule the OIG. And because there's not a proper forum for the OIG discussion, we're currently in a city council meeting. I would agree that this needs to be discussed because it was outlined in detail to the utility district. So that'd be the only reason that I have an issue with discussing it tonight. But I do want Mr. Evans to address tonight's comments, to address the scheduling so that the community can know when we're going to be talking about the OIG report, the health district fines, and know about that, because I do not want our feet being dragged for that. This is the reason that I signed this, and this is the reason I co-signed this motion that was made, to make sure that we have set dates, a set schedule, and that the residents knew what was going to happen. So before we adopt this, my concern, Attorney Nguyen, the OIG report that was outlined, was that OIG report given to the city council, utility district, or the CRA?
OIG report is addressed to the utility special district.
Okay, so with it being addressed to the special district, what I do is I will sign and co-sign my colleagues' request for emergency meetings, special meetings, and I will show up and I will approve the agenda. I'll make sure I'm here and I listen to the residents and make sure we give them an opportunity to speak. But what I won't do is I'm not going to discuss something that's going to jeopardize us. So with the OIG report, I do want to hear from our city manager tonight in his comments, and I do want the public to be able to comment about it, because this is a concern and a question during our open general comments. But I do believe we need to just set a date for the OIG so that the public can have ample notice to prepare and be there. And I would not mind having it removed if my colleagues would not mind removing the OIG, because we did not give ample notice. But with the notice that we did give, I want to give a clear date already outlined by our utility district motion that was made by Dr. Spiritus. So if we're okay with that, colleagues, I don't mind deleting it off the agenda, letting our community speak about it tonight. But I do also want to make sure that we have a set date for it, though. You're recognized, Ms. Lanier.
I wanted to say that the reason I put this on the agenda was not to have an open discussion about it. We've had 3 meetings about this issue and there's not a date been set. I put it on the agenda to have a set date so that people will have notice and will know that we're having this discussion about the water and about this OIG report. That was the purpose of putting it on there. As I said before, there were 3 meetings talking about this, but no meeting has been set. So the purpose was to set a meeting this evening with the full council about how we will move forward and have a discussion with the public about this.
And thank you, Ms. Lanier. That is exactly why I supported it, because I appreciate you bringing it to the community and you addressing it, because this is the concerns that the residents have been screaming out about, that we've been screaming out about. So we want to have some set dates and clear dates. So that's the only reason it's on here. Attorney Nguyen, should we leave it on the agenda to have discussion about it, or would you recommend we just talk about it during commissioner comments?
Public has shown up. I think you should probably, I mean, if all you're going to discuss is scheduling, you can leave it on the agenda. If you're going to get into the actual report, that is for a utility special district meeting.
So to that point, I have no problem, but I don't want the residents are here to discuss it. They want some answers. They want to have clear direction with it, but we don't have that tonight. We're just going to discuss the schedule so that they can know when to come back for the OIG report. Okay, I'm okay with that. Dr. Spiritus, you're recognized.
Right, so Councilwoman Lanier, thank you very much. If I would have known that ahead of time, I probably would have been the second signature. As you know, we did pass a motion at the utility district meeting to have an OIG meeting for the community. And as Councilwoman Miller Anderson said, we were supposed to, as past practice, get dates from each council member prior to the meeting to agree before the city manager set the meeting date. And I understand now why you called this meeting, because I've been waiting, as you have, for the meeting to be set. And this is a very important meeting, and for the community and for the city council. And I'm glad that you called the meeting for that purpose. But I'm not so sure. I guess, Attorney Nguyen, maybe you could tell us this. We're sitting as the city council, but we're setting a date for the utility district meeting. Can we do that legally as the city council rather than as the utility district? Can we set a utility district meeting at a council meeting?
Having the discussion, and then at a later point between the manager's office and the clerk's office, the actual meeting will be set within an agenda. You may decide you don't want to do it, for instance, on I think the 18th of this month, which is a regular USD meeting. You may want a different date for a special utility district meeting. But this is just to figure out, I guess, what dates you all are available and what date the manager believes that facilities are available and that you can have the meeting. I don't have a problem with that.
Additional comments? Madam Clerk, roll call?
Councilperson Miller and, I'm sorry, Councilperson Lanier, Councilperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus,
Yes.
Chairperson Lawson.
Yes.
That's unanimous. Mr. Chair, the legal department and city clerk's office did receive correspondence from Chair Pro Tem McCoy that he would like read into the record. And it reads, by way of this correspondence, I hereby raise my legal and religious objections to the December 6, 2024, 7:00 PM Riviera Beach Emergency Meeting, and request that if the meeting is held, that this is read into the record as correspondence from Chair Pro Tem Chodrick McCoy. I did not receive the notice until I checked my email shortly after 8 PM on Thursday, December 5th, which conflicts with the city council rules regarding the call of special meetings. I do not waive the notice requirement of section 4A of the city council rules. This meeting conflicts with the religious sundown Sabbath observance. See attached city council rules. Additionally, the Riviera Beach City Council lacks subject matter jurisdiction over the OIG investigation, since the nature of the investigation pertains to the operations of the Riviera Beach Utility Special District and not the Riviera Beach City Council. The meeting should not be held and is improper in its form, and any action taken is not enforceable and will be void ab initio for insufficiency of service of the meeting notice and lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Charter McCoy, Riviera Beach City Council Member, District 1.
Thank you for reading that into the record. Attorney Nguyen, if you could address those concerns of our colleague, because he read some sentiments that are contrary to what I believe, but if you could address them in regards to proper noticing.
I addressed it earlier, but I'll go back over it.
But because you did, but just for clarity, because that was read into the record after, I want to make sure it's very clearly stated for the record.
Government in the Sunshine Manual or law requires that there be reasonable public notice so that the public can attend the meeting and know what the meeting is about. I believe that your agenda accomplishes that in that it states the two subject matters that you are meeting about. I agree with Mr. McCoy, and we've already discussed it, that the OIG report should be at a utility special district meeting. Again, you're not going to discuss the substance of the report tonight. You're going to merely discuss scheduling. And I think that that's allowable.
Thank you. And for showing up, Dr. Spiritus, we were able to get clear direction. So thank you for actually showing up so you could understand why we were doing this discussion, why I co-signed it, because I didn't know exactly what it was on here for. But Ms. Lanier did give us clear direction on that. And I've absolutely supportive of having that discussion. So thank you, Ms. Lanier. Additional comments?
Sure.
You're recognized.
Pro Tem McCoy mentioned that we're not supposed to have meetings on the Sabbath. Is that in our rules and regulations?
And it wasn't. Tell me what section he pointed out again.
He did not name a section. It just says the meeting conflicts with the religious sundown Sabbath observance.
I haven't seen that in the rules anywhere. I'm not familiar with that section.
Thank you. We have no consent agenda. So we're going to go into the regular agenda, 12A.
Item 12A is discussion and deliberation, case number 502024 CA 011018 XXAMB. Please note the correction for the case number. I will read it one more time, 502024 CA 011018 XXAMB. Ronnie L. Felder versus City of Riviera Beach. Mr. Chair, we do have public comment cards for this item. The acceptance of the cards is now closed.
And before we go into this item, I do want to actually address that in the event I have to step out for the restroom or that I have to leave, because I do have another scheduled event tonight. I wanted to see if I can make a motion to allow for Kashama Miller Anderson to serve as the chair in my absence for the purpose of this meeting. You're recognized.
You said that you would be leaving?
No, if I have to step out to go to the restroom
Oh,
or if I leave for another prior engagement.
okay, and I mean, I had a prior engagement and I couldn't go to it because I came to the meeting, so.
Understand.
If-
But I am here now, and the event started at 7, so I'm going to make a motion. If we could have you serve as the chair.
I'm
If you choose
thinking
not to.
if you leave, then we need to just call the meeting. So let's try to get it moving. I'm here, but
Okay. So we still need a chair to.
if you step
for the
out and go to
board.
the bathroom, I'll do that, yeah. I'm not guaranteed to
We
stay
have a
here.
motion. Do I have a second? Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson, Councilperson Spiritus, Chair Lawson.
Yes.
The motion fails with Councilperson Miller Anderson and Spiritus dissenting.
Okay. 12A?
Did you want, I can read it into the record one more time. Discussion and deliberation, case number 50204 CA 011018 XXAMB, Ronnie L. Felder versus City of Riviera Beach. Mr. Chair, we do have public comment cards. The acceptance of the public cards for this item is now closed.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lanier?
Yes, I call this emergency meeting because I'm very disturbed at the position that the city has taken in this particular case. As a council, we have a responsibility to ensure that our election processes are transparent, impartial, and adhere to law, providing all candidates with a fair and equal opportunity to qualify. First and foremost, I'm calling for explicit direction to support the city clerk's qualification of candidates who use a debit card during the qualification process. A
Mr. Chair,
legal
point
and
of order.
lawful method, I'm reading my thing into the record. A legal and lawful
The
method
point of
to
order is,
qualify for
well,
office.
hold on, Ms. Lanier. The point of order is recognized. State your point.
All right, Mr. Chair, I don't believe that we're supposed to be discussing litigation matters while they're pending right now before a judge, which is going to probably make a decision on Monday, or the papers have been filed. I don't believe it's proper for us to be discussing this in public. Can we get an opinion from council?
Chair?
You're recognized, Ms. Lanier.
I like
In
to
regards
say,
to the point of order.
I'd like to say that the government favors open dialogue and then the sunshine, that closed executive sessions are just an exception. So we have the ability as a council to discuss whatever we like. Only reason we have closed executive sessions is because we're talking about strategy. And we want to make sure that the opposing side is not going to hear what we're saying. We're not talking strategy tonight. We're talking about ensuring that the city is representing the city and its employee in the decision that they made. To say that you stand unopposed means that we have no representation. The city clerk qualified this individual, these 5 individuals.
Before you go on, Ms. Lanier, your point of order for Dr. Spears is recognized, but I'm going to allow for Ms. Lanier to finish her statement. Go ahead, Ms. Lanier.
Yes, I'm saying this because the city clerk made a decision in her ministerial duties. And in that, the city has an obligation to defend that. To say you have no opinion is ludicrous. To say you have no opinion means we're not even represented. And what I heard at the hearing yesterday, to say that the city clerk needs her own attorney, that is outrageous. The city clerk is the city. When the last incident had with my colleague right here, they defended the position that the city clerk made to disqualify Dr. Botel. They supported that because she made the decision. So if if the city clerk is making a decision to qualify those individuals, then the city needs to defend that and support that. It is her decision as a city clerk to make that call. Not us, but we are the client. We are the client. So to say that you're going to be nothing, you're going to stand mute on the issue is outrageous to me. That we have a duty to support and to uphold the decision that the city clerk made.
Chair?
Comments?
Yeah, I'll come back.
Thank you. Dr. Spears, you recognized.
So can we get an opinion from council? Do you recommend that we be discussing this in public right now?
Typically prefer closed executive sessions to discuss strategy. As Ms. Lanier said, I have not heard necessarily a discussion of strategy. However, if there is some direction, I have an opinion on the direction that I think I'm hearing. And I believe there has to be some explanation from my office on that issue, because I don't totally agree with what the council person has said.
You're recognized.
Okay, so I just want to respond to Councilwoman Lanier. If our council believes that one of our employees made an error, they have an ethical obligation as legal counsel to advise us that they believe that that person made an error, rather than us spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in litigation and maybe appeals if they believe that's the case.
So I
I'm
believe
just
we're going into actual strategy, Dr. Spiritus, because I'm not sure if
Right.
it was referenced that an error was made. So
I'm just saying that.
So
She has
that's
the
where
right to have
that's where we're
an
getting
opinion.
into a conflict, because this is why Miss Attorney Nguyen recommended that we do closed session, because she never stated, nor did anyone state there was an error made. She said that she was not going to support or not support the strategy of this of Miss our clerk. Now, the concern that Ms. Lanier stated is that she's asking that the attorney supports. She didn't make a decision one way or the other. They sat in neutral from the city and the supervisor of election, as stated. I do have to give a disclosure that I'm a party to this lawsuit. So, Attorney Nguyen, I believe I have to give a disclosure if there's direction that's going in regards to being a party to this lawsuit, and that I would have to abstain from any vote that is taken if there is anything taken. Thank you. And that would be my disclosure for the record. Attorney Nguyen, you're recognized.
I'd like to have an opportunity to address some of the comments that were made here tonight. There is a huge difference between the posture of this case and the case that was the Dr. Botel versus Dr. Spiritus. In this case, Ms. Hall was not named a defendant until we had the hearing a couple of days ago. She was never named by the plaintiffs in this lawsuit. There was no need to file anything on her behalf. However, when the judge added her, almost all of the papers have been filed, all of the pleadings have been filed, and now we would need to file a pleading for Ms. Hall, and that is why I recommended additional counsel to represent her and her interests. Now, when I first heard about the debit card situation, Ms. Hall and I had a conversation, and I told her what my opinion of the law as it relates to statute and the Dr. Botel Spiritus case said. She said, I disagree. And I said, then that's fine, because she is the supervisor of elections for the city and municipal elections. It's not my job to tell her what to do. We're at the point now where the court has to tell her what to do. And I believe I sent correspondence to all of you stating, whatever the court tells us to do, that is what we will do. I don't have an opinion on it.
You're recognized.
And that's where I have a problem. The problem is this: we are the client, the city council, we decide what position you take. We do. Trodrick and members of this council have sat here and directed the city attorney to take a position, and we have disagreed with it. So you can't tell me that we don't have the right to do that. We do. We're the client. But I'm going to make a motion that we direct the city attorney to defend the decision of the city clerk in qualification of the candidates who use a debit card during the qualification process, because I do not like the fact that our city clerk is being left and thrown to the wolves. So what we want to see here is that the city defends her in its capacity. That's only fair. So I'm making this motion to direct the city attorney to defend the decision made by the city clerk and not be mute or stand on the sidelines with this. Because what happens is this: at that hearing, because the city had no opinion, we had no defense. There was no defense. They just sat there. So my position is that the city attorney needs to be directed to defend the decision of the city clerk. And that is my motion.
Motion been made and properly second. Discussion. You're recognized.
So, Ms. Nguyen, typically when we are going in to defend, do you normally get our position on it? So how is this case any different? Or, I mean, you go in as a neutral, with a neutral position, or you go in with a position, then let us know which way you went? How do we normally do that?
Close executive session. I ask you, we lay out everything, you know how the session works, and I ask you for direction, and you give me direction. The issue that I have in this case is that on the defense side, you have 5 defendants. They have an attorney. Their attorney is arguing their position. Now, the clerk has an attorney who will argue her position. The issue sometimes, though, is that when you have a law license and you know what the law is, or you believe it to be, that you can't take a position contrary to that. It's unethical.
Attorney Nguyen, do you practice and do you specialize in election law?
I do not.
Okay. So I would say that we need the opinions of outside counsel, is what you typically do, because you typically don't give a opinion when it comes to something that you're not proficient in. So for you to give your opinion without consulting with outside counsel in writing, then that is a concern for us. And I want to make sure that it's clear. Now, again, I am party to this suit, so I'm trying to stay as neutral as possible, which I'm going to abstain from this vote. But in clearly stating for the record what direction and what decision we're taking, I think that there's some concerns and conflict in regards to how do we proceed. And I want us to be clear as a board, the direction that's being given, if there's given direction tonight.
Hired outside counsel to represent the city. Outside counsel, and let me say this, I hired the same attorney that we had in the Botel Spiritus case, because to me, the issue is the same. How do you qualify? How do you pay a qualifying fee? That's the issue.
What was the outcome of the Botel Spiritus case with the attorney you hired?
The initial outcome was that Dr. Botel was allowed to stay on the ballot.
And
However,
I'm sorry, wait. Did we hire an attorney for the appeal?
we had the
I'm sorry?
same attorney for the appeal.
Mr. Chair, there was, the city was not represented for the appeal.
I'm sorry.
I took that
That's
case
correct.
on
So
by
let's
myself.
clearly state the record that
Right.
we did not have the same attorney for the
Right.
appeal.
We did
So
not proceed,
let's-
we did
let's-
not participate in
Let's
the appeal. Yes.
let's clarify the record, and I
You're
will go
correct.
back. I will go back. There was an attorney that was hired. Did we win that lawsuit? Okay. So the same attorney was hired for this lawsuit.
Same attorney, just so that I can be clear, who is known throughout the state for practicing election law, who is also known for the seminal case in Wright versus the city of Miami Gardens that dealt with the payment of a qualifying fee. I do not hire attorneys who are not proficient in what they do to represent the city. It would make my job harder, and it would not be fair to the city.
You recognize? Sorry. Actually, let me let Ms. Miller Anderson finish her comments.
So prior to I think I recall getting the email about the lawsuit on the Thursday or after the meeting. I believe you did send an email giving your opinion on the matter to us, right? And for whatever reason, that same, what you put in the email was actually quoted in that lawsuit. So I think the position was taken. There was a position that was taken, right? Because that was what you sent us in the email. But when that happened, were you working with the clerk? Had you all talked? Did she, or she had already stated her position? What brought that on, I guess is what my question is.
She and I talked, and that's when, I think I kind of went over this a little, and maybe I went too fast. And she said, I disagree with you. And I said, okay, that's fine. And we got off the phone, and she can verify this. And then I put it in writing to her, just because I did not want it to be a situation where someone were to say, you didn't advise the clerk either way, you just left her out there by herself. And that's why I put it in writing.
I guess when you sent that, I did not know her
Okay.
position because I wasn't even aware of, I mean, I'm not running, so I wasn't involved in that stuff. So I don't know what was going on her end. But typically, the city normally supports the clerk. And so in this position, even though you're saying the two of you were on different sides with it, how do you take the position? You're taking the position because you're saying you read the statute and that's how you interpret it. She is a standalone, and basically whatever, because she's the clerk, whatever she think it is what it is. And then you have the council, who typically in closed executive session, or you may speak to us individually and get our position on it. I know that part didn't happen in terms of getting the positions from us. But then, like I said, I saw the email. So when I read the email, I assumed everybody was on the same page, and that was what it was, because I never heard her side of the story. But I know typically we would support whatever our clerk is saying, and I think that's how we've done in the past. I've never seen it where we contradict what the clerk is saying. So I don't understand how we would go against what the clerk is saying when it didn't come from us. And so I've never seen that occur. And I wasn't on the call yesterday to hear the hearing, but for the attorney to say we don't have a position, you had a position and Deborah had a position. Everybody, there was a position, so why would he say we don't have a position?
Because we were not going, basically the position is, Judge, you decide. You read the statutes and the case law and you decide. We were not going to go into court and agree with the plaintiffs. And that's why we took the position that we would stand neutral, knowing what the law is. And again, I have a different obligation than any of you have.
But the
Because-
attorney works for us, so when he goes in there, he's supposed to be speaking what we want, right?
Unless the law says that he cannot. If he doesn't believe it and he has a different interpretation, he's not going to argue that. That's why you have 4 lawyers in this case. The plaintiffs have a lawyer, the 5 defendants who qualify with debit cards have attorneys, and now we have an attorney again for the city and an attorney now that the clerk has been added for the clerk. Because remember, initially, the clerk was not a party, and that was probably a mistake on the part of the plaintiffs to not add her, but we didn't have to take a position because she wasn't a defendant. Whereas last time, I believe the clerk was named.
But I still don't understand how the attorney goes in and takes a position for who, based on what he believes?
On what we believe the law states. It's
But
very
they-
difficult to argue something that you don't believe the law states, and you lose credibility with the court.
I'm sorry, community, it's real close here, so everything's carrying.
I just don't understand how, if we say that the sky is blue and he believes it's green, then we don't need him. We need him to argue our point, I would think.
Mr. Chair?
I don't know. I don't need that attorney if he's not going to be on my side. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Dr. Spiritus, you're recognized.
And the counsel that you brought in as independent counsel to represent the city, is that person an expert in election law?
So, under the rules of the Florida Bar, there are only certain sections that have what's called certification. They don't have a certification in election law, and under the rules, you're not allowed to say you're an expert if you
Hold on,
if you
Attorney
don't
Nguyen.
have the
I'm sorry, Attorney
certification.
Nguyen. Residents, it's such a close room. It's really carrying, and we're in this room tonight, residents, because the marina was booked with it being an emergency. So please, guys, we just want to try to get through the meeting and then hear from everybody tonight, because you will get a chance to speak on the mic. Go ahead, Attorney Nguyen.
Ms. Nguyen,
Go ahead,
my
Dr. Spiritus.
question is, has he been the attorney of record on other election law cases?
Election law is what he is known for, yes.
He is known for
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And was his opinion similar to yours?
Yes.
It was. Okay, I really don't know what we're really discussing here. This seems to me like a Hail Mary pass. I don't know what it is that we're doing. We're discussing something that a judge is going to make the decision on probably next week sometime. Everybody submitted their briefs. Is this like just a chance to defend your cases here or your positions here? That's not what we're supposed to be doing as a city council. We have a city attorney who does her job, and we either back up our city attorney or we don't. I mean, she's the person that's supposed to be the expert in the law, and her independent counsel, that's in the charter. And I believe that we should go along and back up our city attorney. I don't understand what we're doing here. Are we trying the case here while we're sitting here? Because that seems to be that each member of the council here, or other members of the council, are giving their opinion as to whether or not the city clerk was correct. I happen to think the city clerk was not correct. So should I say we should be saying to the court right now, we give up? We're not going to defend this case? I'm not saying that. We're letting a judge make that decision. And I think that that's where this belongs, in a courtroom, not in the Ambassador Club at 7 o'clock on Friday evening.
Chair, I like to,
May you recognize?
yeah, I'd like to respond to that. And I think that the issue that's missing here is that we are the client. The city council, the city is the client. They go in the direction of what the council says. And by her own admission, she said that she had an opinion that, so if it was, your opinion was what it was, then why even go to court? My position is that the city council makes that. You cannot arbitrarily make a decision for this body. It is up to the city council to provide direction, period. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to make a motion that the official position of the city of Riviera Beach is to support the city clerk's decision to qualify the candidates and any action she took in her role as city clerk and municipal supervisor of elections for the city of Riviera Beach. That is a motion. No, I'm not. I'm defending.
There's a motion on the table.
Listen,
I
I
think
have
she
no,
amended
listen,
it.
let me say this, Chair. I have no dog in this fight. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. My position, and the reason why I'm saying this, is because it's not about the people in those seats, it's about those seats themselves. And if people or the public or the residents of this city have the right to choose who they want to be in those seats, and to block that, okay, we let the courts play it out. But what happens? We have no position. We have no defense. We have no official position. So my motion still stands. I got a second, so we can vote.
And to those comments, I guess my sentiments, the reason that our attorney asked for a closed session is so that these discussions can be had. Closed sessions are still public record. It would just be prior to the hearing. My thoughts tonight, though, are that the discussions are needed to be clear with direction for our attorney, because even though we say, why are we arguing this in the public setting, we realize that these are individual board members who are bringing lawsuits to the city of Riviera Beach. I think my residents and the community is forgetting that we're paying for this. You realize that the residents are paying for this. So the attorney that's being hired by the city is being paid by these residents. The attorney that's being hired for for Ms. Hall is paid by these residents. So they have to hear the issues and be a part and party to the discussion, because it affects all of them. I remember we spent $1 million defending the case for $60,000. So, I mean, we're going to have these discussions publicly if it's necessary, and we're going to make sure it's clear direction. So I do take offense to some of the comments from my colleagues in regards to their opinion of whether they agree or disagree, because we wanted to try to keep that from being this discussion. Whether your opinion is you agree with the clerk or you don't, whether your law interpretation and you have a law degree, I could care less, because as you stated, this is for the judge to determine. Our goal is to allow the judge to do this. The reason it's being discussed now is because it's costing our taxpayers. We currently have lawsuits that's costing our taxpayers. So anything that comes before the residents and is costing them, we want to address. So I'm going to support the discussion that we're having. And I do have to abstain because I'm party to it, but I'm able to discuss my concerns and sentiments. We do have public comment. So if we can hear some public comment from our residents and then finish the comments from our board. Madam Clerk?
The first speaker will be Cindy March, followed by Kendra Wester and
Thank you.
Lady Goldwire.
Thank you, Ms. March.
You know what? You all need to take this same initiative when we come up here about something. You all work for us. We don't work for y'all. To sit here on a Friday night at 7 o'clock with this foolishness, because number one, you all knew you all was running for an election. You shouldn't have waited till the last minute. If you had time to straighten it, that's fine. But to sit here and badger the city clerk that y'all got an active in front of her name is utterly ridiculous. And Lanier, do you have the audacity to speak about somebody's performance? Why did you leave the county? Let's not go there with that 200-page report and with the HIPAA law where they took out your human resource file about the drugs. So let me get clear with you.
Ms.
It's not
March.
defamation. It's real.
No,
Don't
it's just-
stop me. I'm
it's
talking about
It's
this.
germane to this
I'm-
item, 'cause
I'm remaining to it.
we have general
I'm
public
remaining
comment.
to it.
No, we can stay for general public
Okay,
comment. What I'm saying is just germane
enough
to
already
this.
with you as a chair.
Germane to this, Ms. March.
I'm
That has
pertaining to
nothing to
this.
do with this
That's why I
case.
don't have no respect for you no more
That's fine.
because you're so
Germane to the case.
biased. You're biased.
Germane to the case.
I'm remaining to the case. You don't call no taxpayers in here about no doggone election and who didn't file this and who paid for this with a debit card or a check. What you need to worry about is that dirty water we got going on. That's what you need to worry about. That's wasting taxpayers' money. That's putting stuff up under the rug. And Jonathan Evans, you need to speak up because enough already. Enough trying this woman as much as she know about this city. And just like Dawn Wynn say, all of this tongue wrestling, that judge gonna have the last say so. And I yield back. Chair Doug Lawson.
Thank you for your time, Ms. March. Next comment.
The next speaker is Kendra Wester, Lady Goldwire.
Welcome, Ms. Weston.
Good evening. I am Kendra Spence Wester, a candidate for mayor for our city of Riviera Beach. 2 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to hear our current mayor say to me, or to us, that whoever wants to run against him, let him run. However, some actions were taken before that meeting that has prevented candidates like me from even being a choice on the ballot. I did just what the mayor did by preparing my documents. We both paid by debit card. However, the last day, for some reason, he decided to pay by check. I wonder why. I paid by debit card directly from my campaign account. I also received an email from the clerk indicating that I had qualified to run my campaign for city mayor. That concerns me because now I was notified not too long after that there was a lawsuit, not against me, but against the city because the city clerk had made an unlawful choice to qualify us. Usually lawsuits are filed when someone is breaking the law, right? Or when there's negligence or hardship on someone. But I feel as though our mayor is suing our city, wasting our taxpayer dollars because he believes that there was negligence for him. But this lawsuit impacts 5 candidates that our mayor wants to see off the ballot. Honestly, family, this is not an attack on the mayor. This is about how we deserve an opportunity to be on the ballot, because not only do I want what's best for my city, but I also, unlike the mayor, my method of payment cleared and I did not break the law. So I urge you, thank you.
The next speaker is Lady Goldwire. Lady Goldwire, followed by Mary Graham and Bessie Brown.
Welcome, Ms. Goldwire.
Good evening. I am just here to simply say a few things. And I think we should be addressing the council, but I wanted to speak to Attorney Nguyen and Deborah Hall, 2 women of color that I respect. They have very, very difficult jobs to do. There's a certain level of responsibility, accountability, and all of us in here have communicated our opinion in one way or the other. But the fact of the matter is, there is a process and a way things are done in the courts. There are laws on the books, there are precedents, there are things that will enable people to take a position one way or the other. I think because Deborah is the clerk or the acting clerk, let's just put a pin in that for a second. It's interesting to me that this woman has to shoulder so much responsibility and you have her as an acting clerk. It's convenient for you to come to her aid and insulate her in these matters, but there's so much more that she's done to carry the city when we couldn't carry ourselves. That in and of itself is an utter disgrace that she's still acting. With regard to Attorney Nguyen, she does have a license. She does have a responsibility outside of what she does here. And I hear you, Ms. Lanier, say, oh, you are obligated to the council. The interesting perspective in this case is the council in what way? Unilaterally? Because it's not unilateral. You have a sitting mayor and you have another individual on one side of the case who's a council person, and then you have the District 5 person on the other side and the other candidates who want to run. So if she takes a position on behalf of the council, what part of the council is she supposed to take a position for? Acknowledge the fact that this whole entire process is bifurcated. She has to remain neutral. It's common sense. And that's effectively what they're going to say when you get to the court. The judge is the judge for a reason. But to tell her or insult her and tell her that she has to do a thing when you're clear that it goes against the oath that she took as an attorney is just putting her in a bad position. And why, as Black women, do we do that to other Black women? We can just sit it out and let it go like it's supposed to do and not be so anti-us. If we don't care about the guys, fine. But us, why it's always got to be us against us? It makes no sense. None whatsoever. And I think to sit there and demand or basically craft this meeting in an effort to low-key want to take some action against Attorney Nguyen, that's what that is. It's awful.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. March.
Next is Mary Graham, followed by Bessie Brown.
Welcome, Ms. Brown.
Good evening to the board and to the residents and to the general public. I want to say I hope that everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I hope that we have a prosperous holidays, and I hope that we have peace, and I hope that we learn to care for each other. I hope that we learn that we can be agreeable as well as disagreeable.
Ms. Brown, would you
because
make-
we're all trying to get there.
Item.
Okay,
is-
I'm gonna say something.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna finish.
Thank you.
Riviera Beach Mayor Ronnie Felder may be barred from seeking re-election in March because of his sinful regarding how he attempted to pay his filing fee. Felder's mix-up was that he initially paid his filing fee via debit card, got a refund after coming to believe he needed to pay the fee by check, and then attempted to pay the fee with a check from a previous closed campaign account. The issue is an outgrowth of legal dispute challenging the filings of several candidates for office in Riviera Beach. I could go on and on and on because I do have a little inkling of how laws move and how things move here. Court weighs on facts, not friction. Every candidate that apply to run, you get with your clerk. She's supposed to sit and go through every paper and make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And in your filing fee, you're supposed to get a receipt. The court will tell you that. Ms. Brown don't have to tell you that. New laws was instituted for the same thing here, so that everybody can be on the same page here. Who's right here or who's wrong here? Yes, the judge is going to rule this on facts and not feel good. He's going to rule where the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, whether Ms. Brown like it or whether you like it. Everybody that runs for office here should be aware of the proper procedures. You should be aware of that. And then you come here and you're going to blame everybody else for your faulties. See, that's what you get when you have all of this in your ears here. You don't like to get with somebody that can either narrate you and direct you in the format to relieve you of all this undue stress here. Because you put yourself in these positions here and you make the city look like a bunch of jackasses. And it is not fair to us. I may not be the smartest cookie on the block, but I'm not the dumbest. And you're not the dumbest neither.
Ms. Brown, your time has expired.
It's time for us to straighten up our
Thank you for your comments,
act.
Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
The last speaker is Bessie Brown.
Ms. Bessie Brown? Hey, Ms. Betsy.
Every time we have an election, we have a problem. Why is that? They've gone and changed from March or to December and all that. These changes have been made, but are we making them? You know, and every time our council people always have something to say about this and that, and I want to do this and all that. Why don't you do what's written? Follow the rules, and everything should be all right. But you know, you got to do better, and you got to stop intermingling the council with the clerk. And the clerk knows what she's doing, I'm sure. And we have an attorney here. Is she being used, you know, in the right manner? You just need to really sit down and read everything that pertains to elections, because every time we have an election, we have a problem.
Mr. Chair, that's the end of public comment on this item.
Thank you. Dr. Spears, you recognize?
Yeah.
You're recognized.
I just want to mention that we have a fiduciary responsibility to follow the law. And clearly, I I lean on our counsel to tell us what the law should be or should not be and to represent us properly. And of course, I believe that a judge will make that decision for us next week. Thank you.
Thank you. And I
just wanted to ask a question. When was the request made to do a closed executive session? Did I hear that being said? Oh, okay.
And I do agree. One of the speakers made a comment in reference to the city remaining neutral because that is the position that the supervisor of election took. We have interested parties on this dais where it comes to conflicting colleagues are in this lawsuit that's costing the city. So I understand and respect Attorney Nguyen's opinion to remain neutral in regards to the case. I completely understand that. There were concerns and sentiments where I would say that the opinion came off as not being necessarily neutral, whereas the SOE's representatives remained completely neutral. But I also believe that the fact that the clerk was left off was not just a mistake. I think it was also strategy. So I want to be very clear with whatever's done and whatever direction's done is still costing our taxpayers dollars because now an additional attorney is going to be an additional cost. And that's being caused by individuals who are suing this city. I personally wasn't named in this lawsuit. So any representation has to be paid out of our pockets. So what I'm saying is that we have a fiduciary responsibility, Dr. Spiritus, to these residents. And we are being sued by members to uphold the law. The judge will determine what happens next week, but there needs to always be clear direction, whether it's in public or in closed executive sessions, as to how do we proceed. And currently, my thoughts are that we as a board need to continue to support staff, especially when Ms. Hall has made a determination whether we agree or disagree. And I understand Mrs. Nguyen's concerns and sentiments when she has a difference of opinion. So that's where we would need to have had a possible closed executive session to address that prior to getting to this point. You're recognized.
Ms. Nguyen, Ms. Hall, as the supervisor of elections for the city, is she not independent from the city council? She is. So why are we even participating and why are we even getting involved with Ms. Hall and her decision right now since we're independent from her? Should we be involved in this legally or should we be staying out of this legally?
I don't know that we know the answer to that question either. And it's unfortunately a very political question. You know, you all have the right as council members to call, if you get 2 signatures, to call a special meeting. I can't tell you what should be on that agenda.
Question just now. Thank you.
So to that point, I guess the follow-up is then who's going to cover the cost for Ms. Hall's attorney? So if the city's covering the cost, that means she's not independent. She is the city.
I thought when Dr. Spears asked the question, he meant as her role as the clerk. Is she independent?
As a supervisor of
Correct.
elections.
Not necessarily as a defendant in this case, correct?
Correct. As a supervisor of
Right.
elections.
As
So
the
she's a defendant as a supervisor of elections. She's
For
not
the
a
city
defendant
of
as the
Riviera
clerk.
Beach. She's a supervisor of election for the city of Riviera Beach, and this is still going to cost these residents the money. So it doesn't matter how independent. She's not dipping in her pocket to pay for it. It's coming out of these taxpayers' dollars.
I did not
Mr. Chair?
believe that the question regarding independence was related to the costs.
Right.
What is it in reference to, Dr.
Reference
Smith?
to whether we should be having this discussion, whether to defend the clerk or not defend the clerk. She's a supervisor of elections. She is being defended as per our charter. Our council made sure that she had representation. I don't think that we should be taking a position one way or another. She's a supervisor of elections. She's independent from this body. And Mr. Chair, in all due respect, it is possible that maybe the 5 people that paid by debit cards made a mistake and did not follow the law. That is not the responsibility of this city council or the people that live in this city. That was the responsibility of the candidates. Each candidate has that responsibility under the law to follow the law. The judge will decide whether or not they followed the law or did not follow the law. If the judge decides that they did not follow the law, you know what? Those candidates cost the people all the money that they had to pay for to be defended because they did not do what they were supposed to do. Thank you.
Candidates weren't named, Dr. Spiritus, so that's essentially fake news. I mean, let's be 100% real. The candidates were not named in the lawsuit. The candidates were not named in the lawsuit. These individuals sued the city of Riviera Beach. So the candidates that were actually paying for their own costs now had to actually intervene like you did in your case, Dr. Spiritus. We're
That's
not going to
correct.
continue to tongue wrestle, as some of my
That's
residents
correct.
have said. So if we're going to be clearly stating on the record, let's not give false news to these residents. So you had to actually hire your own attorney. You went into the actual lawsuit and you defended yourself.
That's correct.
So it's not the candidate's fault.
No, you're not letting me finish now. It was the candidate who I was running against who did not follow the law.
So it's a different case.
It cost me, as you know, a substantial amount of money to follow the law. I paid for that right now.
Correct. So what we're
Right,
saying.
but I followed the law. The other person did not. But that person not following the law cost me a lot of money.
So you're
in a
comparing-
similar situation
You're
right now.
comparing the same case, but I didn't cost the city because I didn't sue the city. Those 5 candidates didn't sue the city.
No, I sued the city clerk. The city clerk was a party to my action.
So you did
This
what
is-
you were supposed to do because you were following the law.
Correct, because I was following the law, and the judge made that decision.
So
The
the
judge
judge,
could have said, I did not follow the law, or the other person did follow the law, and I would have lost all that money, and that would have been the case.
So-
But we live in a democracy. We have a judicial system here. We let the judicial system do its job. Let the attorneys do their job. We are not attorneys. We don't know the law the way the attorneys know the law. We don't know the law. The judge is the one who's going to make that final decision. We should leave this up to the courts. We shouldn't be defending this case or not defending this case before the city council right now. That's not our job.
Chair.
you're recognized.
That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is, what I'm asking the city council to do is that the city clerk speaks for the city. We should defend her. We should defend her decision. She is the city. So when you have a issue where, I mean, this has happened numerous times where employees come up to this podium and get decimated. People talking to them any kind of way, people don't support them. We have an opportunity. We have an obligation because the clerk speaks for this city and her decision should be defended. Period. I am going to make a motion that we direct the city attorney and attorney on record for this case to remove attorney Juan Carlos Planas from representing the city of Riviera Beach in this case, effective tonight. Now, with that being said, I need to get a second.
You have another motion that was on the table
Okay,
previously.
well, then
Ms.
let's go
Lanier.
through that motion because we really need to ensure that the city is defending and stands behind the city clerk and her decision.
Mr. Chair.
You're recognized.
So, Ms. Nguyen, you did get a counsel for our clerk, is that correct? She is being defended, is that correct? So I don't know what the motion is all about, and I don't know what we're doing here, quite frankly.
We had a motion on the floor originally. Could you read that back to us, city clerk, so that we can vote on that motion?
The first motion, well, actually, there were 2. The first one was to direct the city attorney to defend the decision of the city clerk regarding qualifying candidates. And then the motion was amended to say the official position of the city council is to defend the position of the city clerk to qualify the candidates. So that was the first one. And your second one was to remove Juan Carlos from representing the city of Riviera Beach effective tonight.
Chair, point of order.
You're recognized for your point of order.
Ms. Nguyen, can the attorney be removed, or does the judge make the decision whether the counsel can be removed?
Judge has to make that decision to allow him to withdraw.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor and it's been seconded.
Which motion? With the amended,
that
if you
would
could read the
be-
amended motion one more time, please.
That would be the official position of the city council, is to defend the position of the city clerk to qualify the candidates.
So I believe that's what Attorney Nguyen has said she's doing. They've hired a lawyer to represent the clerk. And then the second motion that came back before us was to remove J.C. Planis, but I think that there was clarity that the judge would have to do that. So Attorney Nguyen, you're recognized.
Going to suggest that you take one motion at a time so that we're
Correct.
clear.
Yeah, no, we're going to take one at
Okay.
a time. So the first motion, that is the amended motion, is to defend the position of the clerk, which Attorney Nguyen has stated that it has been done, is in the process currently.
Have retained counsel for Ms. Hall. I believe that she may have spoken to her counsel. They have filed a notice of appearance and they are filing a pleading on her behalf and will appear at the hearing on Monday.
You're recognized.
You can't say we can't fire our attorney. We can fire our attorney if we want to.
But the judge and
But let me finish. We can do that. And the judge can say yes or no, but we can do that. My motion is to provide the city attorney with the direction to support the decision of the city clerk. That is it.
You're recognized.
We hired a city attorney because she has a law degree, number one. It's not for this council to make her do anything. If you listen to her argument, she stated that she met with the city clerk and disagreed with her decision. As a city attorney, that's what she's supposed to do. If she agree with it, she's going to agree. If not, so I'm leaning towards who we hire to represent our city. You guys are just overlooked. She said, I told her from day one, I don't agree with debit cards. That was her position from day one. Her position from day one was, I don't, but the clerk is a standalone body, made her decision. So how is the attorney going to be punished by something she started out saying you couldn't? Second, let me address this. It's my duty as an elected official to know the laws. Yeah, I did follow some of you guys, but I also read 106 too in two areas because that was my job. And my statement was, yeah, I used the wrong number on my check. I take full responsibility for that. But I don't think you could just come up and say what you want to say because you have responsibility too. To know what to do. And so I'm not blaming anybody. That's on me. But I don't think we should still be here another hour. The judge will decide. The city clerk has an attorney. I don't even know why we're here. Dr. Spirit said it a while ago. It's like, listen, ain't nothing we're going to do tonight going to change what the judge is going to do Monday. And it's no changes at Friday night that you can do on this desk that's going to change what the judge is going to do Monday. And so everybody needs just to accept their responsibility in this, man. I'm not blaming nobody for what I did. It's my responsibility. But what I did was I'm the only one who tried to go clear it. Other five didn't. I'm the only one who tried to go clear it. It's our responsibility to know the law, not Deborah. Because if you read it, it'll tell you Deborah is not the final legal answer. Read the book. So you can say, oh, I listened to it. No, she's not the final legal. Our responsibility. So man, let these folks go home. It's Friday.
Thank you for your comments. Are you done, Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. You're recognized, Mr. Lanier.
And we can do that. I just want to state for the record that the clerk speaks for the city. And the city has to defend or concede that position. And, you know, neutrality is just not permissible. You've taken a stand. You can't say we can't take a stand here. We can. And the motion that I made is to direct the city attorney to do that. And the motion has a second and it's on the floor and we can call the question.
Madam Clerk? Ms. Miller Henderson has a question. Go ahead.
So if this passes, what would you be doing?
What I would do is that the position that the clerk that I've hired for, the attorney that I've hired for the clerk, we would just state that, Judge, we join in the argument of Mr. Richmond, who's the attorney I hired for the clerk. That would be it. That's probably as far as we could go. Because there are cases out there where attorneys argue positions where the law is clear and the judges chastise them for it. Attorneys aren't losing their licenses or getting blemishes on their license for things like this. I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about my license and my reputation.
So do we need 2 attorneys though? If we're going to do that?
Well, the reason we have 2 is, again, because the clerk wasn't initially named, so we
Right.
didn't need to. But once she became a party, we decided it was better to give her someone to represent her position. Otherwise, she would have been under the umbrella that the city has taken of remaining neutral, and that wouldn't be fair to her.
No, I understand that. I'm saying if it is passed, do we still need 2?
At this stage, all the briefs have been filed.
Okay.
There is nothing left to do except make an argument and for the judge to decide. Now, I believe that no matter what decision is made, there will probably be an appeal. At that point, we will have another closed executive session like we did in the last election case, and for you all to tell me whether or not you want to participate in the appeal. And that will be the decision that you make, just like you made before.
I think what probably is making this a little difficult in terms of whether it was our position or this position or that position is because half of the, well, I won't say half, one part of the party is on one side, one part of the council is on the other side. And so I do believe that probably is complicating this because clearly everybody don't agree, but if we were to have had a closed executive session or had some conversation, at least we would have known where the majority sat with it. And then it would have been a little more palatable in terms of the attorney representing the majority of the board's position.
The other issue is that election cases are expedited. We have not had a city council meeting since
Yeah.
qualifying. I think we would have had to call a special meeting to request a closed executive session. And let me also point out, and maybe I'll need some direction from you all, whether it's tonight or in the future. My office has over 150 cases. I don't come to you for direction on every case. I come on the cases where I'm not sure what to do. Maybe it's political. And I need some, maybe there's more money to be spent, litigation expenditures, but you all trust me to handle all of those cases. When these settlements come to you, you haven't seen those cases in closed executive session.
Right, but I think when they are sensitive and you know that you don't want to step out there and take a position that could be contrary to what the majority want, you do come to us for that.
Right, but again, in election cases, they are expedited. There was not time. But whatever direction the majority gives, that is what I will do my best to do, keeping in line with the rules of the Florida Bar.
Of course, yeah. Okay.
Additional comments? Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier?
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Councilperson Spiritus?
No.
Chair Lawson? Abstain? That item passes with Councilperson Spiritus dissenting and Chair Lawson abstaining from voting.
Recognize.
Let me say one more thing. I think I've said it like 2 or 3 times, but the official position of the city needs to be with the city clerk. It's just that simple. And what we want to do is not to have employees feel as if the city is not going to support them in their decisions. That's what we pay them for.
Mr. Chair,
Recognize.
I totally disagree with my colleague and what she just said. We have a fiduciary responsibility to follow the law. If one of our employees, for example, changes a water report that's being sent to the Department of Health, we don't support that person and defend that person. We want that person to go to jail. So we don't sit there and support any employee because of a position they take. We support the law. We take an oath of office when we get sworn in as a city council member, and that is to follow the law, not to follow what some employee tells us or what their opinion is. Thank you.
So to that point, again, a judge will determine on Monday.
Correct.
So we will determine, allow the judge to speak, and we'll move forward from that item. We're going to go to general public.
Chair, I just wanted to make sure that we're clear about the direction and that the city attorney is moving in that direction.
Attorney Nguyen?
I stated that I will convey that information to our outside counsel. We will join in the argument that Mr. Richmond makes on behalf of the clerk.
Chair,
Recognize.
I just want to go on record as saying that I don't believe this meeting is being officially held. I believe that the notice was not given to the community in a reasonable amount of time. That's why you only have 15 to 20 people sitting here. That's why we're sitting in the Ambassador Club rather than a larger room. And I think that this was done like the case of the midnight judges. You did not want the community here to hear this debate. And I think that this is outrageous and that was not transparent. And I think we should be ashamed of ourselves for having this discussion tonight, this vote tonight, and having this meeting tonight.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize.
believe me, I did have somewhere else to be at 6 o'clock. So I am on board with that part. However, we need to be very clear in saying that there is no defined number of hours for reasonable notice. That is very clear in the Sunshine Manual. Now, we like to give more notice. We like to give 7-day notices. At a minimum, we try to do 24, but it simply says reasonable notice. They're not going to pin it down to an hour. So to say that this is an illegal meeting, it is not an illegal meeting, because if it was, I would not be here. That is not the case. So we can't stop putting out all of these things that we know are not true. This is not true. This is a legal meeting. We prefer to give at least 24 hours. I prefer not to be here right now, but I'm here. So please don't put those lies out there. It is a legal meeting. There's no actual number.
Thank you for your comments.
Chair.
Dr. Spirit, you
Chair,
recognize.
yes. Reasonable. We could have put this on the city's post the same way that we sent it to each council member a few minutes before 7 p.m. We could have put this on the post so the entire community on our website, the entire community could have seen this. It wasn't on the website even early today. So I don't understand how we gave any notice to the community, quite frankly, other than putting up a little poster outside the city clerk's office. We didn't put it on the marquee in front of City Hall. We made no attempt to make sure that the community was aware of having this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We're going to do public comments. Public comments shall begin at 7:30 unless there's no further business of the city, which event shall begin sooner. In addition, if an item is being considered at 7:30, then comments from the public shall begin immediately after the item has been concluded. Please remember that the city council has adopted the rules of decorum. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have 12 speakers who submitted cards for public comment. The first will be Kendrick Wiley, followed by Scott Lewis, and then Chandra Stringer.
And residents, do remember, we still have the item to discuss, which is going to be the OIG item as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Welcome.
Now I'm angry. I'm furious, not just because this case trying to disqualify me, just because our ancestors worked so hard, died to reconstruct the 15th Amendment so we can vote. So literally, this case is taking our vote from us. Whoever you want to vote for, just appoint somebody. You know what I mean? So it made me so furious about that. You know what I mean? I'm glad we got this settled, that our clerk got some support. You know what I mean? I mean, y'all don't understand. Y'all need to look at this. You know, how we fought to vote our voice, and we just seen him and let somebody take away because they don't want no competition. They don't want to fight. Do you want somebody in the seat that weak like that don't want to fight for this spot? Let us pick who they want. Let the best man win. I mean, oh, best girl. I'm sorry. But for real, no joke aside. Like, I really looked up how we fought so hard to vote, all the things we went through, and somebody just, kick you off because use a debit card or a check. Come on now, we pick who you want. You know what I mean? I don't care. I get disqualified. I'm good. I'm gonna be honest with you. I get disqualified. We go to special election. I still got a chance. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I mean? So I'm still in it, regardless of what happened. But still, y'all voice don't matter. Your ancestors, all that killing, hanging, all that going through the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment to reconstruct the 15th Amendment so we can vote, and y'all just want to let this happen? Come on, all y'all should be speaking up on this for y'all right to vote. You know how hard it made for women to vote, black women to vote? You know how hard it was to make a black man to vote in the United States? And this man's spirits, come on, man. You see why? In 1865, what we did, we couldn't vote then. He don't want us to vote. Why? Why we can't vote for who we want? And let the best man win. Oh, woman. I'm sorry. I can get that right. Why? That's the question. I want to vote. I want my voice to be heard. I bet everybody here too want the same thing. I'm Kendra Wiley, yes. I'm a candidate for mayor of Riviera Beach. You want to look at me, Spears? Why we can't vote? Why our voice can't be heard? Don't look at your phone, man. Don't look at your phone. I can't address.
Andrew, please address the chair.
Oh, I'm so
Mr.
sorry.
Wiley.
Mr.
I don't
Wiley,
think I pronounced the name right.
your time is expired.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for
Ms.
your
Hall.
comments, Mr. Wiley.
The next speaker is Scott Lewis, followed by Chandra Stringer and Michael Jordan.
Wednesday, which is the normal meeting night, I was over at the marina. What the hell happened to the meeting? Nobody knows, except I heard there was no agenda. Are you kidding me? Leadership. That's what I keep coming up here screaming about. Leadership. You don't have a meeting where it's not posted in the website the way it normally would be. I couldn't find it. All right. It's on a different date than normally you have meetings. It's at a different site. It's at a different time at 7 o'clock. I mean, this is part of that whole cover up I've been talking about. It's just a continuation. I listen to the comments about anything that costs residents concerns me. I believe the chair made that. Where were you when we care about water? You're busy politicking for $55 million on a park when we got shit in our water. You got 155 lawsuits because of the shit in the water. Have we had emergency closed executive sessions about that? Have you had an emergency closed executive session about the OIG report that came out weeks ago? Have you had an emergency meeting about the water utility and all its problems? No, but we're here to talk politics tonight because that's what this is. You've heard the attorney. Her opinion obviously disagrees legally. As a lawyer who has ethical problems with the bar if something goes wrong, all right? She's already expressed her opinion, but you're telling her what you want her to say. No, you've got to say this. And it's a side. That's taking a side. I don't mind defending the clerk, but I do mind saying that we defend that position because I agree that those people that signed those forged documents, they should be in jail. That's what I agree on. And this council's done nothing about that. Nothing. You could have had an executive session 8 months ago. But what did you have? An emergency motion. meeting to kick the one person on the board that disclosed the shit in the water. And then you covered it up for 8 months and sat there and had us drinking it, listening to your lies and cover up. Please stop it. Become a leader. Lead this city and don't follow it and chase your own tail. Please. I'm begging you on behalf of these people and the other 80 people that would have been there Wednesday night, but you didn't want to have a regular meeting. And you got plenty of stuff to talk about. And it's all our money. And you're wasting the hell out of it. That's my opinion.
Your comments.
The next speaker is Shander Stringer, Michael Jordan. I believe Cindy March left already, and Kendra Wester will be the third speaker.
Good evening to everyone on the council. Wow. Friday night, 7 o'clock, many of our residents has worked all week long, mentally tired, physically tired, emotionally tired, and some people financially drained, trying to figure out how they're going to pay their rent. And here we are. Really and truthfully, to almost strong arm, and I'll say strong arm, the attorney to say something that she does not agree with by law. It is emotionally overwhelming. And the redundancy of wasting the taxpayers' money, wow. I think we do a good job of that on regular things. And this is no exception. You got all the security here, you got IT here, you have staff here to basically come to no decision. It almost feels like that the citizens are being punished because we care about ourselves and our family. It almost feels like we're being punished because we want to stay engaged. It almost feels like we're being punished because we have a voice. I have no personal qualms against Ms. Hall. Matter of fact, I respect her to the utmost. But the law is very clear on what's required. Councilman Lawson, you know we're good friends, and I'll say that publicly. But this is your third run. Paying with a debit card, whether you did it intentionally, unintentionally, I mean, it's the law. And for us to sit here and engage in this kind of dialogue when we have 1.2 million, if my numbers are correct, fine, that's facing us. That's what I'm worried about paying for. And however it ends on Monday for the candidates that did pay with the debit card or whatever, can we please, after it's all said and done, can we please put the people first? Politics aside, personal things aside, when we say something against leadership, or we're attacking them, no, we're attacking their behavior. Because as citizens, we expect and demand better because we are citizens. And stop acting like there is something wrong with us because we demand leadership in action and not in words on paper. Things are not personal, y'all. These are people's lives. Like, when are we going to get that? If we say something against Mr. Evans and his actions, oh, they trying to fire Mr. Evans. No, we want to have Mr. Evans held accountable.
Ms. Stringer, your time has expired.
Ms.
Thank
Stringer.
you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Stringer.
The next speaker is Michael Jordan, followed by Kendra Wester and Dolores Williams.
Welcome, Mr. Jordan.
First of all, I would like to say good evening to the council and everybody in their respectable places. First of all, I would like to say stay encouraged, Attorney Don. Also stay encouraged, City Clerk Deborah. Okay, and to everybody else, I wanted to call those names out first specifically because that's what I want to say. Okay, the second thing is it appears to be bad communication amongst the council and staff. It appears to see that everybody is not working as a team. I said it once and say it again. Team stands for together, everyone achieves more. We got to put our differences aside, take care of the residents, take care of the priority things that we need to take care of, whether it be the lawsuit or whether it be the water. Okay, we have to get to business and stop playing like the residents of Riviera Beach are acts in a circus. Okay, this is the same reason we have this $1.2 billion bill that we facing now. Okay, because of this violation. So my thing to say to you, I don't have to take a lot of time. Get together, put the differences aside, work together. You understand what I'm saying? If you're not knowledgeable of what you should know, get with somebody that can teach you of what you should know. If legal is not your area, then let Attorney Don handle that. Whatever needs to be handled by the council, let them handle that. And the same thing with the city clerk. I respect all of you and love all of you genuinely because that's what I'm supposed to do. But when business is not handled right, I'm not going to agree to love that. So get this water fixed and take care of this court case.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Kendra Wester, Dolores Williams, and Lady Goldwire.
Welcome, Ms. Kendra.
Good evening again. I do want to say that, board, this isn't personal at all. When I see my mayor, we hug it up, we love each other, and still do. This really is about making sure that as a city, we're protecting our city. And one of the things that I thought about, I said, you know, the mayor was adamant about an investigation to protect our employees. Our city clerk is an employee. And to know that she wasn't protected, that bothers me. That really does. This also is not about wasting time. And yes, I agree there is an issue and we do need to make sure that we get to the bottom of our water. However, when we can't handle things like this, that's a problem as well. And I do want to share this one fact because I know I did not go to law school. I went to school to be an educational leader. But I do want to share this fact because everyone says they know the law. So if you will, if you have a moment, please go to our Florida statutes, chapter 106, section 11. And if you will go to 2A, okay, it does state, for purposes of this section, debit cards are considered bank checks. Debit cards are obtained from the same bank that has been designated as the candidate or political committee's primary campaign dispository. I won't read it all, but I urge you, like I'm being made to think that I broke the law, and I did not break the law. I do want to hear what the judge has to say on Monday, because I do know the law. I didn't go to law school. I've only been a principal and an executive director for literacy for a school district. Being that, I know I have to know the law before I make a move. Here's the law. We got to stay informed before we move. I thank you for your attention.
The next public comments will come from Dolores Williams, followed by Lady Goldwire and Mrs.
Dolores?
Mary Graham.
Lady Goldwire. Oh, Mr. Loris here. Come on up, Mr. Loris. Come on in. Good evening, Mr. Loris.
Council and citizen of this great city, especially to Mr. Spirited. I feel for you. I'd just like to say, why, and Miss Lanier, I hope you don't think I'm trying to pick on you. It seems as if you have certain people you like, if they bother you, there's something you're gonna make sure it be known. And Miss Deborah, and I'm gonna ask city manager and all y'all, why is she still acting? This girl's not no actor. This girl is real. Why has she been given the position as the clerk? She stood under many clerks here at Learn and did her own learning by going to school. So why you making a big fuss? That's what she say. That's what they say. It's a he say, she say. Well, you make this big old thing here all night long, and it have to be decided by the judge. I don't think Miss Wynn, she know when I first she got the position, I say, you need to be careful and watch yourself. Because they're gonna blame you for certain things. You don't know the law, you don't know nothing. Yes, you do. You know what you need to know. And if it say it's gonna be left for the judge Monday, why are we sitting here with all this back and forth? Why did you call this meeting? It's supposed to be about the water. Why we got on this thing about the election and the car? The young lady just read the statute. If you play with a debit card, it's just like, and it is true. You sure can get that same money from the same bank if you wrote that check. And tell me how many of you haven't made a mistake like that if you're talking about the mayor. I know it's a throw off for the mayor, but I'm here to support the mayor. I'm telling you right now, I'm here to support him. So all the rest of them did the debit card. Why y'all making this big old fuss and talking and trying to challenge that attorney over there? You say, you're not no lawyer. You're not trained for this. You're not trained either. Because the way y'all acting like you untrained. So y'all stop acting like that and get here making us feel bad. I highly respect all of it. That's my son right there. He called me mama. That's Mr. Lawson. So we want y'all to stand up for the truth. Whatever that way it was done, it was a mistake. Y'all trying to make it known what the judge said, like the judge gonna hear or watch this meeting and get an opinion. Everybody have an opinion about something, whether it's right or wrong, but make sure it's not hurting anybody else or bringing a shame or reproach or trying to degrade somebody. I'd have been almost put out this place by the po-po, you know. But if it had not been for you, Mr. Evans, I'd have got put out that night. You know.
Ms.
I see you
Williams, your
smiling.
time
You
has
know you're the only
expired.
one stopped it.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Williams.
The next speaker is Lady Goldwire, followed by Mrs. Mary Bram and Doretta Pope.
Wire stepped out. Ms. Bram?
She left.
Public, Ms. Mayor Bram, Rivera Beach. Happy holidays as we proceed forward and to. What? Excuse me. Oh, well, thank you. You too, babe. And thank everyone that thought about Ms. Bram, the Masonic Masons, Mr. Cedric Thomas, the Port of Palm Beach, and I can go on and on and on and on and on. Thank you all for thinking about me. I am a widow, and guess what? I don't eat that much, but I do eat. So I do thank you all for thinking about me. I really, really do. And it comes straight from Ms. Bram Hard. I also want to say a couple things here about the water. See, we get all so sidetracked that Mr. Williams worked in the compliance department here at the city of Riviera Beach. Guess what? This was an ongoing thing for years, decades in this city here. Now all of a sudden, everybody's up in the uproar. Mr. Scott, please stop. You can speak, but hey, we're tired of him as a resident in the city here. We are tired of this screaming and hollering about our water. What we want it built, and we want it moved. Procedures are put in place with the investigators, the OIGs, and everybody to move us where we needed to be moved at over decades of neglect. Protocols are being put in place here. People say have to sign those protocols because if you are not, Ms. Bram say, march them out of this door here. Because it's time for us to get on a track here and doing the right thing for this city here. Because my children deserve it, the seniors deserve it, the businesses deserve it. Everybody deserves it in this city here. And I also want to thank the beautification that I've seen going on in the city along MLK and throughout our fairways, the beautiful, I think they petunias or whatever color for flowers. They're beautiful. And the Christmas decorations, thank you, staff, city manager, everybody. We finally got the Christmas decorations, the banners. the beautiful Christmas trees, Barracuda Bay, the beautiful decorations. But Ms. Bram is going to also say something too, to the fire department and to the residents. We want the light at Station 88 on. When those firemen and everybody else went in there to save whatever they could, it wasn't no nationality thing. They left behind children, husbands and wives, families, communities. That's the respect that we should show them. And letting the light shine through for this holiday season so that we can say, we're grateful for you. Your children and your families are still mourning here. Fire chief, put on those lights there. Let it shine upon that beautiful rendition there.
Ms. Bram, your time is
Thank
expired.
you.
Here comes Mrs. Brown.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Doretta Polk, followed by Bresley Brown, and then Madeline Irving Mills.
Welcome, Mr. Retta.
Good evening. My name is Doretta Polk, and I just want to say who initiated this lawsuit is not even here. I don't know why Mr. Trotter McCoy is not here, but you know, he generally goes and make these lawsuits, and this is on us, the taxpayers, the homeowners, and I'm a senior citizen. So, you know, this is not fair, and I wish he was here. But in the interim, I would just want to know concerning Mrs. Deborah Hall Cullen, our city clerk. Why would she have to get an independent lawyer? Because on her own, and then I guess the city decided to go ahead and represent her. I didn't understand that unless I had gotten it incorrect. Another thing, when this election comes by, hopefully that the judge will rule in the side of the people who use debit cards. That was an error. That was an error. But if it is not decided in their favor, which I hope it will be, and there will be no mayor because the mayor is not going to be on the ballot. So I was thinking, what happens then if there's no mayor? Who decides? Does the council decide who would be interim mayor? I didn't know how that comes about. Ms. Wynn, Attorney Wynn, if you can explain that. What happens if no one's there on the panel for mayor? Who decides? And I just want to think, and I was just thinking about this. Wait a minute. Will it be that the mayor will be brought back to council? And if that's the case, let all these people have a chance, a voice for the people of Riviera Beach to say who they want in these places. I'm telling you, in my opinion and other people's opinion, some of these people that's on the diocese, this has been an awful, awful situation. There's nobody in the diocese that has been like this, that goes after women, go after and other employees, mentally and physically.
Ms. Polk,
None.
your time is expired.
So let's bring kindness.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Polk.
Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Bessie Brown, and the last speaker is Madeline Irving Mills.
Up here talking about that water because all of our area We bought bottles of water, all different colors up there, and nothing has been done. So, and who's to blame for that?
Democracy, I can talk about whatever I choose to.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Betsy, Ms. Pope.
Yes, ma'am. You just need to learn how to see what's right and what's wrong. I'm just here. I'm here. I'm just speaking because I put my card up. But you know, this city has to do better. We've been talking about water for about 8 years. But I'm saying it, and nothing has been done. And we brought water in and all of that, and nobody's been saying anything. Then Mr. Evans said he didn't know. He knew about this. He's known about this ever since we started talking about the water. We fired Ms. Jones. So, you know, what is wrong? You're gonna stay null and void, and you think we're gonna be null and void and just quiet all the time? This is stupid. This water is killing people, and then you actually having people here changing the darn tests and all of that. You know, y'all should have jumped up and terminated somebody as soon as you heard it, because it's the first time you've been there. You've been going through it about 8 years or more.
Thank you, Ms. Betsy.
The last speaker is Madeline Irving Mills.
Welcome, Ms. Matt.
Good evening. I stand here before you because it's really appalling to me how we project false evidence appearing real. People come and say, oh, people followed the law, didn't follow the law. Well, as Ms. Wester Spence talked about, there is a law. It's a statute, and we followed it. We paid like we were supposed to. No, it is not the desire of the board to determine what. However, if there is a book or a manual that is given to candidates and proper procedures, that's what we follow. It is not for a legal opinion of an attorney to determine that. So when people project, Mr. Lawson, could you please?
Residents, the noise is carrying, so
Please.
please allow for our speaker to finish. Go ahead, Ms. Madeline.
The false evidence appearing real is for the people who want to believe the lies. Secondly, I have attended 2 water meetings hosted by Ms. Lanier. And in us attending those meetings, there were professionals there. They said that our water is being treated. There is not poop in the water. I'm sorry that people feel that their water is tinted, but that was addressed as well. It said the age of the home may have something to do with the water. And what bothers me is that people gaslight and they project fear mongering or feel that it's a need to accuse and say fire, but we have to act on truth, ladies and gentlemen. The truth is when you follow procedure, you follow protocol, you get results. And I'm hoping that at the end of the day, when we get our water plant, if we can set aside from all of the lawsuits being filed by Mr. McCoy, our lovely mayor, and Mr. McCoy's first cousin, then perhaps we can get a water plant. We can get a water plant if we stop with paying out $64,000 for an investigation who only investigated 33 people instead of addressing 535 employees. Perhaps we can stop believing the lies when we get the water plant that has been put on the back burner for so long that has not been addressed, but yet we want to place blame on the city manager who made it his business to come and move and want to do it. But we can't move because of the lawsuits. Thank you. And I am running for District 5.
Mr. Chair, that is the end of public comment.
Thank you. 12B,
Okay.
you're recognized.
Were those other motions resolved, or are they still there?
Clerk?
The motion to remove Juan Planos was still on the table. Did you want to?
We were waiting on a second from that.
Yes, we never received a second on that.
I put that on the table because the issue of not being represented by the city itself, meaning that we are the client and we tell the lawyer what position to take. That is just how it works. You pay for the attorney, so they take your position. And what that has just not happened in this case. So yeah, I wanted to remove him. And we can do that. And then the judge has to say yay or nay. So if I don't get a second, that's fine. But I wanted to make for the record that the attorney on record for the city is standing on the sideline when he should be defending the city and the city's choices.
I'll second for discussion. Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, you're recognized.
So we've already made the motion to give the direction for the attorney to argue in the way in which the majority desires. If we terminate the attorney, do we just not have one? I mean, well, I know you said that the judge has to determine that. So what do? We go to the judge and say, this is what we want to do? How does that work?
That's a decision of the council. I would go to the judge and request that he withdraw. And so then we would not have counsel. We would only have the clerk's representation.
So I would not be inclined to terminate, but I do think we've given clear direction for him. Now, if he chooses not to move in the direction that we have told him to move, then obviously he needs to step away. Okay, thank you. Yes.
12B,
Item 12B, discussion and deliberation. Office of Inspector General Investigative Report 2024-006. City of Riviera Beach failure to report water contamination, November 2024. Mr. Chair, we do have public comment cards on this item. The acceptance of cards on this item is now closed.
and we, go ahead, Councilwoman Lanier.
I placed this item on the agenda because, as I said before, we've had 3 meetings and we have not set a date to discuss this water. And I have been having forums at the marina once a month to talk about the water, to bring in the staff, to bring in U.S. Water to discuss where we are with this. There's another meeting on the 19th, which is next week, to discuss water again. I've been having these meetings so that the community can come out. You don't really have a chance as a community to come out and talk about what you want to talk about in 3 minutes. The purpose of having these forums was to make sure that the public had an opportunity to talk as long as they needed to about our water, and the staff to be there to be able to answer those questions. And I put this on the agenda to make sure that tonight we set a date to actually do that, to talk about the OIG report, to talk about the water, because we've had these meetings, council meetings, utility meetings, and have not set a date. So I wanted to make sure that the council can look at their calendars tonight and to at least get a general idea of when we should have this meeting to address this, because we cannot keep not having meetings about it.
Thank you, Ms. Lanier. Any additional comments from the board? Let's go into public comment, and then we can finish our comments from the board. How many public comment cards do we have, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have 3 public comment cards.
Okay. So
One of the residents has, well, 2 of them have left. Lady Goldwire and Cindy March. So the only speaker would be Mrs. Mary Bram.
Bram? She's still here? Oh, yes, Ms. Bram, you're up.
As I stated previously, see, a lot of times people like to get up here, yell and scream and holler and put fear and make you hysterical. Always want to follow those that, you say that you want to be in the in crowd, but when you're in the in crowd, you know what you're talking about. You be able to move things. You're supposed to be able to do your own thinking instead of letting other people think you and narrate you. I'm going to read something to you here. The investigation, this comes from the OIG report, because it did clear Mr. Evans as well as Ms. Jacob. Yeah. It did do that. But see, you still want to hop on everything else. A lie would travel all the way around the world and it'll still come back basically a lie. A lie. The investigation suggested his leave was the cause for the city incorrectly retesting a water sample that tested positive for water contamination, which resulted in a fine worth about $80,000. Let's take it here. Records we've obtained it from an open records from the Florida Department of Health in Palm Beach County, including an internal investigation from the city of Revere Beach Special Utility District. The investigation said Dr. Williams terminated his employment on June the 8th, 2023. Well, yeah, Dr. Williams. Okay, Dr. Williams. And didn't return to work for his 2-week notice except on June the 14th, 2023. The investigation suggested his leave was the cause for the city incorrectly retesting a water sample that tested positive for water contamination, which resulted in a fine worth about $80,000. Dr. Williams was also the compliance manager when the city didn't send multiple water quality tests to the Florida Department of Health. This resulted in a fine worth $1.2 million, partially due to the city history of non-compliance. See, I can't be in all places at all the time. That's why I like to hire qualified people. Everybody know, Miss Brown work out in the yard. You see, I'm wearing one earring. I'm not trying to be sporty. Because I lost my dolphin earring that my husband bought me. And I'm sad by that, but I'm still moving because I work in my yard. And I have a job to do just like you. Everybody else have a job to do here too. I'm going to hire you. But if you don't do your job, I'm going to walk your behind out the door. Because I cannot be an oversight for Felder, mayor here. He's the mayor. I told him, Mayor, you're the face of this city here. And that's what the face of your city does. So see, I wanted to bring some clarity here for you about this water situation. Stop it.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Graham.
Stop it.
Additional comments from the board? Well, thank you, Ms. Lanier, again. I did sign this because I wanted to make sure that we're having clear direction as to when and where. Mr. Evans, do we have a date? Have you got a consensus from the board as of yet, or any feedback as of yet?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
You're recognized.
I have not received any consensus from the board with regards to the availability of the board concerning this particular matter. So staff is prepared to accommodate whatever date the board looks to bring forward with this, but also I think it would be appropriate that the date that is set, that the board consider and see if the Office of the Inspector General can be present for the purposes of presenting their report and their findings. But we can make ourselves available at the convenience of the board.
Request for the colleagues, for my colleagues, was that sent out for a doodle request, or how was that done? Because you said you haven't got a consensus yet.
I've had a couple of conversations with board members and a couple of things also pertinent to this particular item, also with some of the impending litigation and some of the items that we've spoke about concerning the fine that is looking to be levied by the Florida Department of Health. There's some additional individual sessions that myself and staff would like to have with the board concerning this particular matter.
You recognize Ms. Leonard?
But we still need a date. We still need to talk about this.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
So, but hold on a second, hold on. I understand what's happening in terms of litigation. I understand what's happening in terms of all of this. But we still need to have a forum about the water, period. And we can look at our calendars and we can look at some time in January and we can see what the OIG has, but we're gonna have to nail down a time frame tonight. That was the purpose of me putting this on here, because we got all these issues going on at the city. The biggest one is the water. So we can look at some time. I'm thinking the week of the 13th in January, anytime that week. I'm saying January. January the 13th, from the 13th through the 17th could just be a tentative time frame that we can look at getting or coordinating people's schedules. That gives us at least 5-6 weeks. Should be sooner, really should. But we need to make sure that we have the people in place to be able to present their findings. And we want to make sure that the people here, staff, to be able to answer questions. Yes, I just wanted to throw the week of the 13th out in January for this OIG water meeting.
So I just want to know exactly, like, I know what are we going to talk about? You know, I know it sounds crazy to ask that, but the reason I'm asking that is we do have those lawsuits. So we have the OIG report. It gives information as to what occurred. Is it that we want a presentation on what is in the report? Are we going to talk about what it is that we've put in place so that that doesn't happen anymore? What are we trying, what?
Yes, I want to, the report is the report. We
Mhm.
can't change that.
Right.
But I want to make sure that what's presented in terms of the report, the city's rebuttal in terms of what has happened since that time. If they said that we did this, then this is what we did to fix that. If they say we did this, this is what we did to fix it. That's it.
Because we respond to the OIG, correct?
Chair, if I may?
You recognize?
Yes, we did provide a response to the OIG and provided them with a supplement that is attached to the OIG report.
So we wouldn't, are we planning on having staff present the OIG report, even though they did not write it, or we're looking more so for the OIG to come and do a presentation of their report?
Possible, yes.
Because what I don't want to happen is for staff to present a report that was not written by them, and then they have to explain what the OIG wrote. Okay.
I'm just asking because I want to make sure that the report is out there. I mean, they said what they said about it. It's a done deal in a sense. But what I want to happen is that the public has a right to know how the city responded to that. And to say, where are we now? What are we going to do at this point? Because as I said before, the report is what the report is. We just need to make sure that we present to the public that this is what happened and this is what we're doing.
And also those, we do have those continued updates from US Water and all of them on a regular basis here at the meeting. So we definitely are providing information as to what we're doing to make sure that we don't have those issues. But if what we're talking about doing is having the OIG report presented as well as our resolutions to it, I do think it's important for the OIG to be the one to be here to explain the report. I've never heard of them doing that, but you never know. I mean, it won't hurt to ask. But I do want to make sure that they present their report, or if we say, incident one, this is what they said, this is how we responded, and stick to what is said in the report, because I don't want us getting up here saying something on the fly, and that's not what the answer was given to the OIG.
Sure.
Especially with those lawsuits that, any lawsuits that we may have that are pending.
Hold on, Ms. Lanier. Dr. Spiritus?
Evans, you've had discussions with the OIG with respect to coming here and putting on a presentation before the community?
If I may. I did inquire of the OIG's, one of their staff members, but I haven't spoken to the Inspector Carey yet, or his director of investigations, but I did speak to a staff person that was lead on the investigation that occurred associated with this particular matter. And he did say in most cases, I think in all cases, they provide it to the agency. But he said it's not outside of the realm of him asking that. And I haven't followed up and I haven't received a phone call from them with regards to that particular, but they were going to elevate that to see if there's a desire from the Office of the Inspector General to do that.
Mr. Chair?
Okay.
So, Mr. Evans, can you get us an answer by the middle of next week, whether the OIG is willing to be here or not? And on that, I would like to make a motion that we have we've already made the motion to have the OIG hearing at the last UD meeting. And I think that we were just waiting, as per my colleague, Councilwoman Miller Anderson, suggested that we follow the policy that we normally follow, and that is check with the council members to come up with a date. But we already passed the motion to have the meeting. So can we all agree tonight? I make a motion that we have this meeting the week of January 13th. Whether the OIG can be there or not, we should have the meeting the week of the 13th. We'll know tomorrow, or by Wednesday, we'll know whether or not the OIG is going to agree to appear or not. My guess is that the OIG will not, so we should be prepared to go ahead regardless.
Mr. Evans, are we challenging the validity or any clarity or anything of the OIG report?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
You're recognized.
With regards to the Office of the Inspector General's report, the city assumed responsibility for the items that were contained in the report and provided a response with regards to the actions that the Utility Special District has done as a result of the findings contained in the report.
So I think that just needs to be clearly stated to the public. The issue right now is we're waiting on the OIG to come in and present a report. They did, but if we've accepted responsibility, what are we waiting on? Let's let the residents know what steps we've taken. Let's move on from it, and let's present to them what we've presented to the OIG and how we're going to improve the trust, transparency, and communication with our residents. That's all we have to do. We're continuing to push this and kick this can down the road. Let's just bring it to the public. Let's address what's happened and how we're going to move forward from it, because unfortunately it's continuing to just hold us hostage because we haven't addressed it clearly. So if we just tell the residents this is what's happened and this is what we're doing moving forward, hopefully we can start to regain the trust of our residents by letting them know this happened 1.5 years ago. We're trying to make sure that this never happens again. This is what we did to make sure it never happens again. So I'm not sure why we're going to continue to just wait on things to wait on somebody to come present a report that we've accepted responsibility for. We can all read it. So if we just move forward, I think we can move forward, and the date shouldn't be contingent on any OIG. Additional comments? Dr. Spiritus, you're recognized.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, I have a motion on the floor.
There's a motion for the week of the 13th. I think Mr. Evans just needs clear direction. I don't know if there's a motion necessary, but Dr. Spiritus has made a motion. Do we have a second? Motion been made and properly seconded. Additional comments? So we will be having this meeting the week of the 13th. We want to give public notice as early as possible. So Mr. Evans, if you can set a date with staff, with facilities, and also with OIG if possible. If not, let's just go ahead and get a date set for that week. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier? Yes. Councilperson Miller Anderson? Yes. Councilperson Spiritus?
Yes.
Chair Lawson?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Thank you. Comments from Mr. Evans, if you want to address any of the public comments or any other comments, Mr. Evans.
No, Mr. Chair, with regards to the public comments, but also I will be sending out some correspondence to you at the first part of next week to ask for individual meetings with the city council concerning the utility special district. So if you can share with me your availability over the next couple of days, I will send out that correspondence first part of the week. And I would like to brief you on a couple of things that we're working on. So I just wanted to give you and I would need probably about an hour of your time. And that concludes my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Attorney Nguyen?
No comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Comments from the board, starting with Ms. Lanier.
I just want to say that next week, the 19th, on Thursday at the Marina, we're having our third series meeting for the water department. This conversation is about the new water plant, what's taking so long, and also any other questions you want to ask about the water. I've had two meetings, and I have seen like 10 people there, maybe 7. So people come to these meetings and get to the, what is that over there? Gets to the podium and do all this yelling and screaming. And I'm having these meetings to get the information out and for you to ask those questions. So the 19th of December, 6 p.m., the city's marina, we're having a conversation about the city's water, specifically about the new water plant.
Thank you. And I have attended both of those meetings. They're excellent meetings and they're very informative. So thank you, Ms. Lanier. Mayor Felder.
No comments, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Miller Anderson.
Yes, I would like to know where are we in terms of the people, the 4 people or however many people is for that report? The morale report, where are we with that?
Employee investigation.
Yeah, that one.
So the last time we were here, HR said that she would reach out to the employees so that they could give their statements. And one employee, I believe, submitted a written statement and the other 3 stated that they did not want to participate. And
Attorney going to come and do the presentation or speak with us?
you can discuss that.
Mr. Chair, if I may, we can certainly, I'll ask the board to your availability and find out if we can put that item on the agenda or discuss that, because I know that was one of the items that the board wanted to also have a conversation while it's in a public forum. So I can facilitate a communications that gets your availability on that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Dr. Curtis.
I just want to reiterate that the mayor and myself were in Washington, and we did meet with our congressional members and the EPA to discuss funding for the new water plant. The EPA did have a very substantial Zoom meeting with our staff with reference to the funding of the new water plant. I will be in Washington, D.C. to meet with Congressman Mast and the EPA on Monday to further discuss the water plant and its funding. And I'm glad that we're moving in the right direction now. And I'm looking forward to a new water plant in 2027.
Thank you. No further business. Meeting's adjourned.